Hello, I'm Tina Olke and your instructor for Psych 155. Today we're going to talk about some of the motivating factors behind hunger, why people eat when they aren't hungry, why they can't lose weight when they want to, and why eating disorders happen. Chapter 9 is a very interesting chapter, isn't it? If you've already read the chapter, you've learned about the different kinds of motivation, the theories behind it, the types of needs and incentives. You've gotten a chance to look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and maybe you'd have identified if you're a sensation seeker. Are you? You've also taken a closer look at emotions, the different types of theories about them. Is it that emotion comes first or the body response? I'm curious to know what you think. We aren't going to talk about any of those things that were in the chapter. Instead, we're going to discuss motivation as it relates to hunger in today's mini lesson. Have you ever went to the grocery store hungry and came away with a lot more that was on your list? Or been sad or anxious about something and opened the fridge to have something light and ended up eating a whole lot more than you meant to? Have you ever ate when you weren't really hungry, but because it was dinner time? Have you ever been really hungry that you felt like you could eat the entire contents of your fridge? Let's explore several of the technical components that go into hunger first. Insulin and glucagons are hormones that are secreted by the pancreas to control the levels of fats, proteins, and carbohydrates in the body by reducing the level of glucose or sugar in the bloodstream. If your blood glucose level drops, you won't feel the change, but your brain, which monitors the blood chemistry, will trigger hunger. Carbs, like things made with white flour, for example, white bread and pasta, will cause the insulin to spike, and then you feel hungry. High blood sugar leads to more insulin being released, which leads to low blood sugar, which leads to an increased appetite and a tendency to overeat. If you can control your carbohydrate intake, it can control your sugar from spiking. The weight set point is a particular level of weight that the body tries to maintain. It is the body's predisposition to maintain itself to a particular weight level. When you fall below that limit, your weight thermostat signals the body to restore the lost weight. If your body weight rises, your hunger decreases and your energy increases. Now, your metabolism and exercise also can play a part in this. Hereditary influences your body type and also your set point. As you can see by the diagram in the slide, however, that your set point can change. I'll explain more about that next. BMR is the rate at which your body burns energy when the organism is resting. It is tied to set point. The BMR decreases with age while the set point increases. If you think about it, a teenager will burn more energy as they have more movement than an old adult who is tied to a desk job, yet will still consume the same amount of calories. That is why the set point increases with age. As you can see by this chart, the amount of calories a person should consume daily should go down as they age. Yet, how many times do you think they do this? More often than not, they stay the same or even increase. Hunger is also tied to social cues. How many times do you eat at a certain time of day just because that is the time traditionally to eat, even though you might not be hungry? There are also cultural customs we follow with food. Think of Thanksgiving, the 4th of July, and birthday cakes. We also often use food as a comfort device or as an escape from unpleasantness. Have you ever found yourself turning to a carb when you're feeling tense or depressed? Well, you're not alone. Carbs naturally boost serotonin, which has a calming effect. Unfortunately, we also learned earlier that it can spike your blood sugar, so it should be eaten in moderation. Let's examine how we eat in different situations, too. It has been found that we eat more when we eat in groups than when we eat in just pairs or a small family. So those large get-togethers, be wary of overeating. A study done on people given a choice of a scoop or a bowl of ice cream found that those with a bowl versus a scoop tended to eat more as well. So when you have a choice of pouring a large bowl of M&Ms to have on your coffee table with the idea of just limiting yourself to just a couple at a time versus bringing over only a handful as a serving and having magazines on your coffee table, take the magazines. Finally, it was found that when people were given the buffet choice of food versus one option, they overate versus those with only one choice. If people make poor choices with their food, it may lead to obesity, which is when their body weight is 20 to 30% over the ideal body weight for that person's height. A significant factor in obesity is genetics. In fact, if there is a family history of obesity, there is a double or triple the risk of a person being obese themselves. Dining out and not getting exercise increases the chances. On the flip side, poor choices with their food may lead to eating disorders. Anorexia nervosa is a condition in which a person reduces eating to the point that a weight loss of 50% the ideal body weight or more occurs. Bulimia is a condition in which a person develops a cycle of binging or overeating enormous amounts of food at one setting, and purging or deliberately vomiting after eating. We will cover eating disorders much more in depth later on in the term. Finally, there are several biological factors that may play a part in hunger. Leptin is a hormone that, when released into the bloodstream, signals the hypothalamus that the body has had enough food and reduces the appetite while increasing the feeling of being full. Scientists are hoping to create a nose spray or skin patch that might counter those hunger chemicals or mimic the levels of hunger dampening chemicals. It's also thought that genetics might play a part in anorexia, bulimia, and possibly an insensitivity to leptin, which can lead to obesity. For today, this concludes what we'll be covering in our PowerPoint mini lesson. The reflective log assignment asks you to either suggest ideas for future research designed to advance knowledge on the concepts in this chapter, or to apply the material learned in the chapter to a current news issue or to experiences in your own life. I suggest that you not only consider the concepts that you heard on this presentation, but also what you've learned in the rest of the chapter. Some interesting things to reflect upon would be a follow-up to the role of motivation in hunger. What do you think about the link between social causes and hunger? Have you seen yourself fall prey to them? What about the locus of control? Would you classify yourself as an internal or external locus of control? Are you a sensation seeker, or do you know one? What are your thoughts about Maslow's hierarchy? Reaching self-actualization is really pretty rare. Have you ever met anyone who's reached that stage? Which theory of emotion did you most agree with? What further areas do you think should be researched? What have you seen in the news recently that you'd like to comment on? There are a lot of ideas out there from Chapter 9, and I can't wait to read what you come up with in your logs. Have fun!